Uber keeps lowering the pay, and on today's video I'm going to give you my take on why I think it's happening, and also I want to let you know that I believe that we all drivers are also kind of the ones to blame for these too. The trip you're about to see on the screen right now, it's $5 in a little bit. This trip, it's something that I've been seeing in the past week or so. It was not like that in that area. The area that you're looking at, in case you're not from Los Angeles, this is right outside of LAX. It's basically taking somebody right into the airport. Now, the other trip you're about to see right now, that trip is from about a week ago. In just a week, I have seen the same trips with the same amount of miles and going into the airport drop by that much. I've seen them as low as $4.80. Now, if you're a new driver, we all know that new drivers still Uber offers them bonuses for the week and the weekend based on the amount of trips that they do. For some of us older drivers, in my case, it's been a few months now since Uber switched the bonuses for the week and the weekend based on the amount of money that we make. That is a sign right there that the algorithm learns a lot of the bad habits or good habits that we have. In my case, I wasn't surprised when they changed it to the dollar amount, because I'm pretty sure that it got to a point where I stopped doing short rides in certain areas of LA and I focused it more on spending all day on doing long rides. So I was not surprised when they changed that. But back to the subject of today's video. If you're a new driver and you started today's October 4th, you probably all you're gonna see is a $5 trip that you saw every morning when it gets busy if you end up around LAX. So you're probably happy when you see a $10 one. Most likely since you're new, the algorithm won't even send you trips like that. Now us that are a little bit older on the platform will probably look at all those $5 trips and keep on rejecting them. Now what happens is, because there's a ton of drivers, at least here in LA, I keep seeing them every month. It just increases and increases the amount of drivers anywhere you go in the LA area. Because of that amount of drivers, it gets to a point that for us old drivers that rather just take somebody that we did just a long trip in the airport, come out of the airport and just hang on till you see, in my opinion, those $10 trips or a little bit more than that used to go in and out. Sometimes it takes more than an hour for you to see another trip that's worth it. Now, there are two things that I do. I will shut off the app after half an hour of not seeing anything, maybe 40 minutes, depends on how much I did on a long trip that brought me to LAX at 3:30 in the morning or so. Or we can just shut off the app and leave that area. New drivers, they do not do that. I'm not making these up. I'm decided to make today's video because I talk to drivers a lot and I ask them questions, and I want to have a little bit of a base on the subject of the video. And again, there's a lot of new drivers, they do not even think when they see trips like this. They tap on that screen right away. Sometimes I'm surprised how they got the time to be talking to the rider and tapping on the screen. And I'm saying this based on a few rides that I have taken. In the past month or so, I started flying for work more often. If you don't know, I don't think I mentioned in my videos, what I do full time is I'm a commercial drone pilot, and sometimes my clients do fly me out of the state. I have noticed Uber drivers that once I get on the conversation with them, because sometimes the ride from where I live to LAX could be about 30 minutes, sometimes even longer than that, and we get into that conversation, I can tell without even talking to the driver, just looking at that screen when we get closer to the airport, where they start getting, sometimes they be getting offers way before they go into the airport, I can tell how long you've been doing it. Or maybe you're just an old driver and you just like doing short trips. But I can tell some of them, even they be talking to me, let's say on a shorter ride, and they tell me that they just started, whatever comes up to that screen, sometimes I've seen trips that are $2 and change, and it's a trip. It's not no food delivery. They tap on that screen in a heartbeat. Again, new drivers, they still getting bonus based on the amount of trips. Do I blame him for not knowing? Not really. You need to understand that not everybody that goes into this gig takes the time to do any research. They usually do research after they look at the weekly earnings, whether they're doing a part-time or full-time, and they get to a point where they go, wait a minute, I've been doing 20 something, 30 trips a day, sometimes more, depends on the market and in the area where you're at, and I'm only making this little bit of money. What can I do to increase the amount of money that I make on a daily basis? And only at that point, that's when they decide to go ahead and do some research, and they become one of us older drivers, a little bit more knowledgeable. That right there takes time. If you multiply the amount of new drivers times all the big cities in the US, that will tell you right there that it's going to be really, really hard for the algorithm to change in any way. There's so many drivers out there that just don't know any better, and that's the result. Now, why did I mention on the beginning of the video that we old drivers are also to blame for? Not every one of us has the same situation when it comes to why we do Uber. Okay, for some of us it's a second source of income. For some people it's their only source of income, and they're not in the market like LA. They are in a market that the pay is even worse than this. So for them, they do not have that option. Some of you that probably go on the Uber driver subreddit and be like, hey, but if your market is that bad, why don't you stop? Well, you don't know that person's situation, and not nobody to judge them why they do what they do. That also translates into what I was telling before. Desperate people, they just take whatever because they cannot afford to wait 1 hour. Now, going back to all drivers, I have got days where in the morning, like today, I'm not feeling well, or maybe you can tell my voice is a little different than my previous videos. So today I was only able to do a few hours in the morning. Today was a perfect example of a bad day. I spent the first hour and a half not getting probably no requests at all. I only got one request that wasn't even worth touching. I believe it was 8 miles altogether for $4.23. Not good at all. And the second one that came in an hour and a half wasn't even, again, it was like $3 and change, which is also something new in my area. My area usually sees $4 and change. Now, I'm telling you these, and I can afford to wait that 1 hour and a half to cherry pick, or I can also afford to shut off the app and go home. In my area, there are drivers that cannot afford to do that. And what happens, although they've been doing Uber for a long time and they know these trips are trash, they gotta have that money come in somehow. And believe it or not, one thing is what drivers say on social media or on a subreddit than what the reality is. What happens? The old driver has no choice but to take those trips. They're gonna keep it to themselves. You probably won't share it to anybody. And that right there is why I also believe that sometimes we old drivers are also the ones to blame. But again, not every one of us treats this Uber gig as a main source of income or as what it's supposed to be, as a side gig. It's unfortunate. It teaches the algorithm bad habits, but at the end of the day, if you was wondering who is to blame for all of this, hey, I believe sometimes it's all of us. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality of the situation that we live in. So if you got a different opinion than mine, please feel free to go ahead and write it in the comment section. If you're new to the channel and you make it this far into the video, go ahead, do me a favor, give this video a like so the algorithm will share it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.